So, what does it really take for a piece of public technology to earn our trust? Today, we're diving into a pretty radical new answer to that question, exploring how one project subjected itself to the ultimate test of integrity.
I want you to imagine something for a second. What if, before any new government software went live, the stuff for courts or benefits or public records, it had to pass the equivalent of a PhD defense? Every single claim fact-checked, every line of code scrutinized, every ethical question debated and answered. It sounds pretty wild, maybe even impossible, right? Well, what if it wasn't? Because this isn't just some thought experiment. This is a real story about a civic technology project that was put through exactly that. A grueling, 16-part final exam designed to prove its integrity beyond a shadow of a doubt. But why? Why would anyone go to such extreme lengths? Well, it all starts with a very familiar problem. Yeah, it all begins with a problem I think we all know way too well. The deep crisis of trust in the technology that's supposed to be running our public lives.
I mean, we've all heard the horror stories or maybe even lived them. Projects that are millions over budget and years behind schedule. Algorithms with hidden biases making life-altering decisions about people. These totally opaque, black box systems where not even the people running them can tell you how they work. It's a landscape of massive risk and practically zero accountability. And that just demands a completely different kind of answer.
And in response to this whole mess, a new standard is starting to take shape. A standard that's all about proof, not just promises. At the very heart of this is a concept called provable integrity. And look, this is a really fundamental shift in thinking. The idea is that a system shouldn't just ask you to trust it, it should provide you with verifiable mathematical proof that it's fair, that it's secure, and that it's lawful. You can think of it like a cryptographic seal that mathematically guarantees the system is what it says it is. It's the difference between hearing, "Trust us," and being told, "Here, verify it for yourself." So let's just put it side by side, because the contrast is pretty stark. Typical government software is trust-based and opaque, right? And its records can often be changed. This new proof-based model, the one we're looking at, is the complete opposite. It's transparent, it's independently auditable, and its records are cryptographically sealed so they can't be tampered with.
Okay, so how in the world to actually prove all of this? Well, you subject the entire system to an absolutely unprecedented challenge. The source documents call it the 16-canvas gauntlet.
And let's be clear, this was not your standard check-the-boxes audit. This was a thesis-level validation. It's a framework made up of 16 different tests, or canvases, and each one was designed to just stress-test the system's integrity from every conceivable angle, from its legal origins all the way to its economic impact. Now, 16 parts sounds like a lot, I know, but you can actually break it down into 3 main layers to make sense of it. First, you've got the foundational canvases. These basically verify the system's legal and ethical DNA. Then comes the technical proof, which is this incredibly deep dive into the engineering, the security, and the AI. And finally, you have public impact, which has to demonstrate its actual real-world value. The sheer breadth of what they tested is just staggering. I mean, they verified its lawful genesis, like where did the idea even come from and was it legal? They audited its compliance with international human rights charters. They proved its AI could actively mitigate bias. They even tested if the entire system could be perfectly rebuilt bit for bit from the public source code. And that's just a handful of the tests. So after going through this intense gauntlet, what did the evidence actually show? Okay, let's decode some of the most powerful results from the report. We're going to start with this number right here, 100%. So what does that mean? This is something called build reproducibility. It means that any independent person can take the public source code, rebuild the software from scratch, and get the exact same result, bit for bit. It's the ultimate answer to that black box problem, because it proves with mathematical certainty that nothing has been hidden and nothing has been tampered with. All right, on to our next key metric. This one might look a little less flashy, a score of greater than or equal to 0.92. But this number gets right to the heart of fairness. This is the Systems AI Fairness Index, or FI, and it's not just a measurement, it's an enforceable rule. The validation demanded a score of at least 0.92, which proves the system is actively hunting for and shutting down algorithmic bias. It's like having an ethical watchdog built right into the system's DNA. And our final number is one that speaks directly to public policy and the bottom line, a return of over 600%.
So what is that? It's the social return on investment, or SROI. The economic models they ran project that for every single dollar invested in the system, it delivers at least $6 back in public value. And it does that through huge gains in efficiency and by giving people much faster access to justice.
So, after all 16 canvases, after all this evidence was gathered and analyzed, what was the final verdict from the independent report?
Well, the independent auditors didn't just call it good software. They actually classified it as a verified civic infrastructure stack. Every single one of its key promises, lawful origins, real economic value, AI fairness, sealed governance, all of it was verified. And in their own words, it's reproducible and audit-ready.
You really have to appreciate how significant this is. This entire process elevates the end result from just another government IT project to a whole new class of public asset. We're talking about technology that's so transparent and so accountable that it can be treated like core civic infrastructure, as essential and as trustworthy as a bridge or a public utility.
And all of this leaves us with one really critical question. We've just seen that it's actually possible to build and to prove public technology to this incredibly high standard. So the question is no longer, can we do this, but should we? Is this the level of proof that we, the public, should start demanding for all the technology that runs our civic lives? That's the question I'll leave you with.